Good morning and welcome again to another exciting edition of the Camnet Breakfast Show of today being the 11th of July 2023. I hope you're having a lovely and beautiful morning. I'm your host Miriam Kaimbandi. In studio I'm joined by my colleague Patrick Soko, who will be taking you for an hour or so where we're going to be looking at various issues. Among them were the UPND. Yesterday we saw them accusing PF of unleashing cadres to harass motorists and traders in Lusaka. Among other issues, we also did see yesterday that there was a power outage at the Lusaka Magistrate Court. So these are some of the trending issues that we're going to be talking this morning among other programs. Good morning.
Morning, Miriam. Interesting.
How is your morning this far?
The morning is okay. Yeah, just
the weather.
The weather, but adjusting to it.
You know, yeah. I really don't know what happened today, but I think it was a little bit cold and the difficulties waking up.
Oh, sad. But it was colder yesterday, but you managed.
Yeah, I managed. You know, I always exercise, but apparently
Really?
these days I haven't been exercising. Yes, I'm a very good advocate when it comes to the issue of ensuring that everyone takes part in exercising.
But I doubt that's... Why do I have doubts over that statement?
Please, I exercise. Do you exercise yourself?
I think you see yourself in someone who exercises every morning, then you think it is you.
No. It's me. I wake up every day in the morning. I do my exercise, ensure that I keep myself fit.
Interesting. Then I think that's good to hear. I hope you do really exercise. Well, our dear viewers, we are back on your screens with the Camnet Breakfast Show Tuesday edition. Community, everything community goes in, and we are discussing interesting issues like area alluded by Miriam Kaimba there. Interesting story coming from the UPND, where they feel the PF is sponsoring its party cadres to destabilize marketeers and motorists. So we're going to look at that story on the Zooming the Headline segment. But before we do that, we have to get to our first segment, which is the Health Corner with Dr. Nakubiana Mufaya. Let's get to listen to what she has prepared for us this morning.
Hi, good morning and welcome to the Health Corner here on the Breakfast Show. I am Dr. Nakubiana Mfaya. And so this week we are talking about fibroids. And yesterday we talked about what are fibroids. We defined what fibroids are. We say these are benign tumors that occur in the uterus. So benign tumors meaning that they are tumors but they are not cancerous. So these are growths that are found in the uterus or around the uterus. So today we want to understand what are some of the causes, or how do these fibroids come about. So it's not very well known exactly what happens or how these fibroids come about. Most of the scientists have failed to understand exactly how fibroids come about. But it has been found that there are some genetic compositions that certain people would have that would predispose them to having fibroids. And so if you have a family history, somebody in your family that has had fibroids, whether it's your parents or aunties that have had fibroids in the past, then you could also be at risk of having fibroids. So other things that increase your risk of having fibroids are your age. So mostly women who are between the ages of 40 and to 50 are the ones who usually get these fibroids. But also, even younger women who have just started their menstrual cycles, even as young as 20 years old, they might start having fibroids. So it just depends also if you have a family history, a strong family history of somebody who has had fibroids, you can easily get fibroids. The other thing that predisposes people to have these fibroids is their diet. So if you do not eat foods that are high in fiber, especially people who eat red meat. So red meat has been found that it's a very it's a very high risk for you to get fibroids. So people who eat a lot of red meat, that is beef, pork, and other red meats, they are at risk of having fibroids because of the saturated fats that these foods contain. So these are some of the risk factors that people with fibroids would have. And so if you know that your diet is not okay, you eat a lot of saturated fats, especially red meat, and even these processed foods, if you eat foods that have a lot of sugar, you are increasing your risk of developing fibroids. Then also, if you have a strong family history, make sure that you know exactly if there's anybody in your family that has had these fibroids, then you are also at a risk of having fibroids. And so it's important that you can check yourself in the hospital, make sure you go for checkups to check if there are any masses or tumors growing in your uterus, because there are complications that can arise from having these fibroids. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how the fibroids are diagnosed in the hospital and treated. What are the treatment options that are there for people who have fibroids? So make sure that you watch tomorrow's episode as well. Today we talked about how it comes about, and we say that usually it's genetic. So people who have a strong family history can develop fibroids, and also age, women who are 40 to 50 years old can have fibroids, and also diet. So if your diet has got a lot of saturated fats and a lot of sugars as well, you can develop fibroids. So I do hope you have learned something. If you would want to watch more or other episodes of the Health Corner, make sure that you also check out my YouTube channel at Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya on YouTube, and you'll be able to find all this information that we share here on The Breakfast Show. So I'll see you again tomorrow. Stay healthy.
Well, that's it. There you have it. That was Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya doing what she knows best, and that's making us get aware of various issues pertaining to the health sector, and we get to understand various diseases and how to handle them. Diagnoses are given on this program on how you can understand the symptoms. All these issues are provided by Dr. Nakuyana Mfaya. In case you want to get in touch with her, you can also follow her on our YouTube channel, as well as you can leave us a message on our social media platform, and we'll be able to convey the message, so that in case there's some of the topics that we're interested that you can talk about, and then we can convey that message for you. Remember to always like and share our page to others so that they can follow, and remember to click on the notification button so that every time we go live you are notified. And that's our first segment, and interesting enough, Miriam Kemba, what should we look at next now?
Okay, right about now we'll go direct into our money market. So we have the United States dollar. They are buying at 18.05 ngwe and selling at 18.40 ngwe. We have the Great British Pound. They are buying at 23.07 ngwe and selling at 23.53 ngwe. We have the Euro. They are buying at 19.79 ngwe and selling at 20.18 ngwe. We have the South African Rand. They are selling at 0.96 ngwe. Buying rather at 0.96 ngwe and selling at 0.97 ngwe. That is our foreign exchange for today, the 11th of July 2023. I don't know why I wanted to say August. I think I'm moving fast.
You are in a hurry, madam.
I'm in a hurry to finish the year. I don't know. I'm in a hurry.
I hope you are progressing in a hurry with implementation.
Yeah, I'm doing so.
You are.
Yeah, I'm doing so.
If
That's
you are
why
sure, then
I'm very sure, very optimistic that I'm about to achieve half of my goals.
Interesting.
Yeah,
well,
so
I hope you are like that, like Miriam Kayemba, who set the targets at the beginning of this year, and her resolutions are going as planned.
As planned, anyway.
I hope
by God's grace.
I hope part of the resolution was to help me lend me money to buy a car.
We never agreed on that.
You didn't resolve to do that.
Patrick, we never agreed on that. Why are you putting me on the spot?
You know, sometimes people's resolution can be a blessing to you. So I discovered someone had their resolutions and they said, I'm going to learn this one.
Anyway, I will put you next year. I foresee that.
Interesting.
You should be saying amen.
Amen.
What
are some of the stories?
Anyway, zooming in some of the stories that we saw yesterday making headlines, we did see the United Party for National Development, UPND, Provincial Chairman Obvious Mwaliteta accusing the Opposition Patriotic Front. The Opposition Patriotic Front were the former ruling party, of unleashing cadres to harass motorists and marketeers in some parts of Lusaka. Anyway, let's get direct into playing the story, and we'll continue with our discussion when we come back.
So long ago, cadres were in charge of everything in Zambia, as citizens and law enforcement wings were left to be spectators on illegalities that took prominence prior to the August 12, 2021 general election. Markets and bus stations were being controlled by cadres, leaving councils with little resources and surviving through the Equalization Fund. And upon taking over office, Republican President Hakainde Hichilema warned that acts of impunity will not be allowed to thrive.
Our youth leaders across the country, do not be the enemy of your own government. Do not undermine your own party. Do not become the new thugs in town.
Meanwhile, slowly but sure, acts of lawlessness have begun resurfacing as cadres take advantage of what many have described as docile councils and have started conducting illegal activities in communities and public facilities. Cowboys who solicit for money from motorists have gone back to the routine, and certainly Lusaka still has a number of illegal bus stations being run by cadres under the watch of the local authority. United Party for National Development, UPND Lusaka Province Chairman Obvious Mwaliteta has accused the Opposition Patriotic Front of unleashing cadres to start conducting illegal activities to undermine the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema.
From all over Lusaka, especially Yellow Shop and the other areas, that youths, they've started mounting roadblocks. And in my market, Bambovuta, my youth. When we received those complaints, we had gone on the ground to investigate in Chantichitikapa ground. We came to discover that it's the desperation of PF. PF have now gone back in the streets. Batenga mayuthi bao na kubauza kuti UPND is very peaceful. No one will harass you. And then mwende mu stations, and then mu roads start mounting ma roadblocks, illegal roadblocks, so that bantu baone kuti UPND now is misbehaving, because they've realized that they were chased by Zambian people because of cadres. So those rotten cadres from PF.
He says anyone using the name of the party and the UPND regalia to commit crimes must be reported to the police.
I want to urge the people, the marketeers, the people affected, you bus drivers. If you see anyone mounting a roadblock, whether in UPND regalia, whichever regalia it is, please, you should affect citizen arrest. We have a clear instructions from the president, from the word go. No youth, no any other person is allowed to go in the markets, is allowed to mount a roadblock, is allowed to take any levy or to misbehave. No cadreism of thuggery. We, you as UPND, Tiramakadas Baulemu, to be makadas wakabwalala. So wakabwalala wa PF manje wambobale takulive, so that when they go in the markets, they should go and buy people to complain against us. Good to know, maona wa UPND manje wakangiwa. They've started bringing people. What's makadas? Tavutikana makadas. Those cadres in the city market, those cadres elsewhere, they are not our cadres.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Quite interesting views there coming from the UPND Lusaka Provincial Chairman, Mr. Obvious Mwaliteta. I think the message has been clear. The president has been on record on several occasions saying this time around we are not going to allow cadreism. I don't know why these people want to go back to the markets, bus station, and harass traders and bus drivers.
Yeah, they say bad habits die hard.
Yeah,
and,
but
you know,
that's why we have seen the government, the president urging youths, to tap into the Constituency Development Fund, form cooperatives, and, help sustain their lives rather than, just mounting roadblocks on the road, preventing drivers and collecting money, soliciting money from marketeers, which is very bad. Imagine, Soko, you're a marketeer, you were selling your products the whole day. Maybe someone gave you a 10 kwacha, 20 kwacha, and then here comes the card and say, from your 20 kwacha, give me a 5 kwacha. From nowhere.
Yeah, that's what happens. If enforcement wings or those who are charged with the responsibility to do their work are not proactive, those with criminal elements will also take advantage of the loopholes and make sure that they utilize the gaps to make money. So now that reminds us of how we need to make sure that we are proactive. I remember that the president was categorical that markets and bus stations should be manned by the Lusaka City Council, for example, in the case of Lusaka. Now, if you see, Miriam, most of the stations are usually co-manned by the cadres and the council themselves. They still share revenue. Now, and other bus stations that are totally illegal, for example, we have a new station coming just by our corner there, Payutop. There's a station. Sometimes people do mobilize. There will be buses there. They give themselves responsibility to collect levies from motorists. Then they start charging motorists because the local authority has not seen the need. People want to be boarding buses from convenient places. And why doesn't the council recruit people to be able to man these facilities and also provide the necessary sanitation services so that the toilets can be there and people would be able to get on buses conveniently, but they do not do that. As a result, these people see these loopholes. If you go at Kablonga Mall, you'd find that sometimes there's a fully fledged bus stations that is not run by the council. Even at Civic Center, just adjacent by the Civic Center where the council themselves operate from, you'd find that there's another bus station there that is not manned, and sometimes there are people who have given themselves the responsibility to be charging the motorists there. Before if you want to pick someone there, you have to leave money there. But that's like you said in your preamble, that's what President Hakainde Hichilema has said no to. But are these people helping him to make sure that this lawlessness is curtailed? It is the same at the downtown station. I don't think there are council officials there, and I don't think they are the necessary facilities like toilets there so that station can be manned professionally. But if you go there, it's a fully fledged station. If you go to, for example, again, you go to behind Levy Mall, there's another illegal bus station that emerges from nowhere along Great East Road. The illegal bus stations are numerous. If you go to Bauleni, even
Kamwala near Tokyo Market, the unfinished market, there's an illegal bus station there. Who is operating it? The surprising part is that when we were there on the ground trying to do interviews with the bus drivers, we were told that council is collecting levies there, but there are no toilets.
Yes, there are no toilets, and the council is not there to be, they are not proactive in making sure that they do the right thing. How do they expect to maximize revenue collection? Now, that brings us to the next story we have to look at, Miriam, where council workers, I'm sure you are talking about issues pertaining to salaries. So now, this is a story where government says it is working on modalities to clear off all salary arrears for all local authorities that have been not paid 3 months now. Local Government Permanent Secretary for Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, tells Camnet News that most local authorities in the country have shortfalls in collecting revenue. And he says that in order to maximize revenue collection, at all local authorities in the country, the ministry is correcting the inefficiencies while addressing the non-payment of workers. Mr. Piri has assured that the council workers that the process of paying their salaries in arrears will soon be finalized. So now this is a story again that brings us to the why the council there Miriam is struggling to pay its salaries. There's also free money that goes into pockets of individuals.
Exactly.
So now let's get to look at this and see the disparities of what we are talking about this morning.
You're losing revenue. You're sitting on revenue. We've removed cadres from markets. We've handed markets to you. You are still not collecting revenue. What's the problem? Lusaka City, you're sitting on a lot of cash. Why are salaries behind?
For years, non-payment of local authority workers in Zambia has been a thorn in the flesh of those in the wheels of power. On 31st May 2023, Wednesday, and 2nd June Friday 2023, council workers were on the neck of Lusaka City Council demanding payment of their dues for over 3 months, despite Minister of Local Government and Rural Development, Garen Kombo, assuring the workers that payment was going to be done.
No any benefit in my life. So what I want is my money.
So please to papata. But bamdala bakabwere pano ba HH. Baka peze pankana na chongo banigwira na mu maovalo. Beze funa kunimenya. Banimenya. Chifuko cha kuti nina njara nifuna na ndarama zanga nina marai.
But 41 days down the line, from 31st May 2023, reliable sources at Lusaka City Council have confirmed to this journalist that despite the assurances some payment to their dues has not been made, they question the government's stance on the issue. Meanwhile, Local Government and Rural Development Permanent Secretary in charge of Technical Services, Nicholas Piri, says the ministry is undertaking a methodical and systematic long-lasting solution to the matter.
And especially the Lusaka City Council. But we have to tackle this issue in its totality. So I wish to confirm that in the interim, the local authorities, including Lusaka, are doing everything possible to close in the salary gap, to reduce the arrears from 3 months. I think now they're sitting maybe at 1 month or so. But going forward, government is exploring modalities and means and ways of making sure that the collection efficiency of revenue is improved.
The Permanent Secretary also highlights that there are various challenges surrounding low revenue generation among local authorities countrywide. Mr. Piri says government resolves to bridge the challenges and safeguard the plight of local authority workers in the country.
As of now, our collection efficiency is somewhere around 50%, less than 60% actually, and that is far less. So what government is looking at are long-term solutions, which includes digitalizing the collection of revenue so that there's less interaction between humans and cash. And we are very sure that once we take that measure, which we are taking very soon, this issue of salary arrears will be addressed holistically. So on one hand, you would have no cadres in the markets. On the other hand, the means, the systems for collecting revenue would have improved. And I think that will give us a permanent solution to the issue that we are grappling with now.
Workers at various local authorities hope for a better tomorrow when non-payment of salaries is addressed. For now, everyone awaits the results of the government steps being undertaken. Nelson Zulu for Camnet News, Lusaka.
I hope they are working to ensure that workers get paid. And one thing, I tend to question myself is Lusaka City Council shouldn't be having these problems of failing to pay workers, because they have a lot of means of collecting revenue. Talking about the bus stations, talking about the markets, talking about the billboards, among others. means.
Yeah, and most of the industries that are in Lusaka and also the tenants in Lusaka, they pay for the ground rates and various taxes to the council. So it's surprisingly that the local authority is still struggling, and this is also against the backdrop that the local authority was given the much needed autonomy to be able to run affairs without interference from political cadres. Now, we see that we are still back to those days when the council was struggling to pay its workers. But how do we find a lasting solution? We got the message there from the Permanent Secretary Technical Services, Mr. Nicholas Piri, highlighting what are some of the issues. He did indicate that the fact that there are no cadres in markets and bus stations is going to provide a lot of relief to the council to be able to get the much needed revenue for operations of the local authority. But now, again, we tend to see that, like Mr. Maliteta was saying, that others, those with cadre mentality, are back in these stations, Miriam Kayamba, are back in these markets, and they're trying to go back to the bad old ways.
So did you have to finish my name?
I was just doing a tit for tat because you always finish my name. I have to also finish your name.
Is it a revenge?
You can quote that. You can quote that. You can quote that. Sharon had an excuse of saying, because your name is short, so I would rather say it in full. But I hope you don't hold the same opinion that you have to say it in full. I would rather you call me Soko and not the entire name.
Anyway, I get you.
Yes, so like I was explaining, for me, I think really the ball is in the hands of the police and the council. How do they coordinate to make sure that lawlessness is rooted out? If you're talking about yellow shop, this is a route we use almost frequently, Miriam, when coming for work. We see that there are those people who continuously mount those. They mount those roadblocks and they continue to solicit for money from any motorist who stops to pick up passengers. But is that a designated way of doing things? Does that have the blessings of the party? Mr. Mwaliteta, who is the Lusaka Province UPND chairman, refused and said those cadres have been unleashed by the PF to conduct those illegal activities to dent the image of Republican President Hakainde Hichilema. Now, you two, our dear viewers, in case you want to share your views regarding this story and the other story we looked at pertaining to the council unpaid worker salaries, you can go ahead and give us your views on the Camnet Breakfast Show this morning so that we can get interacting. You can tell us what are some of the lasting solutions do you think we can provide as a country to be able to curtail this illegality pertaining to political cadres assuming the role of the local authority to be able to get levies in markets and bus stations among other public facilities. So we will be getting your views on the number that is on your screen, our dear viewers, so that we can get to hear your ideas. You know, at the end of the day, no one has a monopoly of ideas. Probably you might be that person giving the local authority that idea that they need to enforce to be able to get rid of acts of lawlessness, acts of impunity, be able to sustain their operations and be able to make the much needed revenue to pay the workers and also use the same revenue they collect to facilitate development in various localities. How can the council be more relevance in our communities? How can they be interfacing with the people so that they appreciate the value of what they do or what they represent, so that people can also be cooperative and be able to pay the needed taxes? Because Miriam Kayamba, if you do not understand the duties and the responsibility of the local authority, I don't think you would be able to be in a position to appreciate what they do.
Exactly.
So now, but if we are able to bridge this gap by engaging and making sure that the local authority is able to interface with the community, I think we can go a long way in addressing some of these challenges.
Exactly. And also, just moving forward, those who are watching us live on Facebook, please drop us a message and let us get interacted with our discussion this morning. And also, one thing I love about what Mr. Obvious Maliteta said, you know, it's high time that citizens should start making, you know, citizens arrest. Marketeers should be doing citizens arrest. I
think sometimes, especially motorists, I think they condone this lawlessness.
Yeah,
and when it goes to worse levels, that's when they start reporting and complaining.
Exactly. I think it should start now. if you, because the fear has been, on several occasions, the fear is that if I'm going to stand against these cadres, they're going to harass me. But if you're going to come as a group and say, you know what, we are not going to condone this, we are going to report you, no one is going to harass them. Yeah,
you're right.
And I think this is upon the marketeers to start, developing these ideas of always trying to report if they see any illegal activities happening in the market. We should not give cadres the chance to continue with this trade that we saw. It became a cancer.
Yeah, it started just like it started simple, it eventually degenerated.
And we saw a lot of time, someone will be chased from the market, they won't operate. Why? Because when in Pisha, they are alleging that I belong to a certain political party. These are the confusion. But when you talk about market, any political party can trade from there.
Yeah, so the new Inspector General of Police has been categorical when talking about police reforms and making sure that the rights of citizens are upheld. But how do we start? We start first of all by us citizens being responsible. First of all, if you notice illegalities in your community, you need to report.
Yeah.
First of all, even as, for example, if we are following up stories, it becomes easier because the police would have gotten your report. And the police have to act on your report, because at the end of the day, police cannot act on hearsay to say probably there's this happening, and they cannot assume. They may see these things in this community. Probably you are enjoying the status quo as the community. How do they interfere with that?
Yeah.
So if you report to say there's an injustice that is going on there, it becomes easier for local law enforcement wings to be able to take up this challenge and effect the necessary measures to be able to combat the vice. Now, if you are going to be quiet and abate it, then it's going to generate, and by the time we are hitting 2025, it will be bad. It will be bad, and we won't be able to reduce it. We saw it in the previous
administration, where now cadres were in control.
You remember?
Have no say.
You remember when you were beaten at these bus stations?
Exactly.
You go to the police, they'll tell you, go and bring him.
Go and bring him. But how should I bring someone who is just from beating me? This is another thing that we also need to address. When you report a case to the police, we also expect the police to do their job. Like you said, someone has beaten you, a card has beaten you. The police, you go and report, the police are telling you go and beat him. How are you going to do that?
Yes, go and bring the person.
So even if you report that there's a breaking in, you have been robbed, you have been attacked by thieves, the police will tell you, ni wangati wamfuti, wakawala, wana mamfuti.
Yeah, those days, those things were common. And we are going to how can you go and bring a car that was a panga? And they are these sort of sophisticated tools to attack people with. So how can someone now, you already been beaten there, you go back and say, me, I'm taking you to the police, let's go to the police. You see, you get another beating there. Those days were tough. They were tough, and most of Zambians don't want to relate to those bad old days.
Bad old days. Anyway, just give us your thought on what you think. What should be the lasting solution, ensuring that there's no cadreism in markets and bus stations. And we're moving forward, just looking at some of the stories that we had yesterday from the courts. We did see a lot of cases, being adjourned. They didn't take place because there was a power outage. Apparently, in as much as it might sound silly, I don't want to make it sound silly, but my question is, why should an institution like the judiciary not have a genset?
I think for me, the challenge is to you. That's the next story.
Yeah. But my question is, I'm questioning those who are in charge. Why should an institution like the judiciary not have a genset? And
no backup power.
There's no backup power. Okay, so yesterday there was no power at the magistrate court. Anyway, the Kawata area there was no power. So the court also was affected. So we saw a lot of cases being adjourned. Among them was for Lomezi area member of parliament, Mr. Munia Zulu, who was supposed to come for his bail ruling. Apparently, last week on Friday, his police bond was revoked after the court found him guilty of contempt of court because he was absconding court session. Yeah.
Interesting. Now, Could that be among the say okay, Kawata division says, can you switch off power? I'm just trying to think loud.
I really don't know.
Listen to that story.
Anyway, let's get to play that story. We'll continue with our discussion. A power outage at the Lusaka Magistrate Court disrupted many cases on Monday, among them involving the independent Lumezi Area Member of Parliament Munia Zulu. Most cases received early adjournments following a power cut and lack of water at the subordinate court. Due to this, all those in correctional facilities were not taken to court. Among them, Mr. Zulu, who was scheduled to appear this morning for his bail ruling. Based on this, Chief Resident Magistrate Davis Chiwidi has adjourned the case to Tuesday, the 11th of July 2023 for a ruling on Mr. Munia Zulu bail application. On Friday last week, the 7th of July 2023, Magistrate Chiwidi fined Mr. Zulu 200 kwacha after finding him guilty of contempt of court. This was following his failure to appear before him twice. The court had issued a bench warrant against him and revoked his police bond after finding him guilty of contempt of court. The outspoken lawmaker is appearing before the subordinate court on charges of libel after he accused Minister of Finance, Dr. Stumbeko Musokotwana, and his infrastructure and urban development counterpart Charles Milupi of receiving bribes. This is in relation to the Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. The ruling on the bail application by the court will either determine whether the accused will be granted the plea. In an event the Lumezi lawmaker is granted plea, he still has few days to spend in custody, following a decision by another magistrate to issue a bench warrant against him, which is returnable on the 18th of July 2023. Mr. Munia Zulu was issued with a bench warrant after he failed to fulfill his pledge as a surety of former presidential political advisor Kaiser Zulu. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Well, welcome back. You are still watching the Camnet Breakfast Show with me, Patrick Soko, and Miriam Kaimba. And interesting enough, we're looking at that story. That's among the stories we are zooming in this morning. A story coming from the courts where we had a blackout. And before we looked at that story, Miriam and I were discussing to say, doesn't the magistrate court or the judiciary make sure that it invests in backup power? You understand? Because Miriam Kaimba, I'm also privy to the fact that, for example, ZESCO has quite a very big program of working on improving the voltage in Lusaka and among other areas, but they are replacing some of the poles and adding new poles to the system, and we have seen that there has been power disruption. For example, in the case of Chawama, we have seen that there is a lot of disruption almost on a weekly basis. We have that interruption of power. Now, if you ask me, that is among the issues that could have also been leading to these outages. Now, it may be worsened if, for example, they are working more on issues pertaining to that area in Kabwata, because the court is also connected to that same grid. Now, my thinking is that, like you were asking, doesn't have the judiciary have backup? I think for me, that's where the conversation starts from.
Anyway, let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Gia.
We are fine, thank you. How are you? Who are we talking to this morning?
Thank you. This is Mambo from Shak.
Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yeah, the challenge is that this is a record program. Hello?
Yes, we can hear you, sir. You can proceed.
Good morning, Patrick, sir.
Good morning, sir.
I'm happy. You guys, you are saying there is no capitalism in markets. And when you look at the situation now, the provincial chairman was saying PM, they have come back. You know, where there is a failure, they are referring to PM. You have talked about so many mushrooming bus stations. I want you to conduct a survey so that you see whether there are any PM member there who are doing those bus stations. When you say Kamala, there is also admission there. people are urinating in the open space. And they are also charging. And so when you talk of PF is no longer there. When there is a failure, people say PF. Now, of course, there were a lot of illegality in PF, but now that they are talking of a change, this is the thing. Because you need to understand the present in the past. Then it means, this capitalism we are talking about, it will be worse. Just wait and see. Because there is more poverty, hunger. And this hunger is the one which will bring this catastrophe. You can be catastrophe. You come back in where you do a more than fail. So let's avoid this issue of saying when you fail, you say fail. You fail, you say fail. Yesterday, I was I moved on to another program. Yesterday, I was watching Pastor Chiruba was interviewing Ray Monga and Honorable Mama. Honorable Mama raised the point to say, when the police officers are going to arrest an individual, let them produce IDs. So that is a very important point which a person has to do. So now, coming to what we are discussing about, the revenue collection cannot be sustained within Lusaka because there are mushrooming bus stations. And in markets themselves, the cadres are there, and they are taken in the same consumption. So those leaders who are going to say,
I think we managed to get his point there.
We managed to get his point.
Very loud and clear.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it is, the question is questioning the story that we started with. That's the story where the UPND Lusaka Province Chairman, Obvious Mwaliteta, is pointing out issues pertaining to issues of cadres, because reports of cadres having gone back to these facilities, Miriam, are eminent, have been also been highlighted. And now Mr. Mwaliteta said these have been sponsored by the PF. They have been unleashed by the PF. But our previous caller was just trying to disagree there. You too, our dear viewers, you hold your opinion. You can give us your perspectives pertaining to what we are discussing. We are looking at quite a number of stories on the Camnet Breakfast Show, and we want your views because your views do matter at the end of the day. So Miriam Kamba, we're talking about also the judiciary there, looking at the genset. I think we spoke about it, I think, on this same platform. The judiciary is among institutions that are disadvantaged pertaining to financial position. I remember also had a one-on-one interview with the
Hello, good morning.
hello, good morning.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
Thank you very much. This is number 10.
Okay.
Yes,
Please go ahead with your contribution.
thank you so much. Thank you very much. That's the subject matter that you are taking exclusive time. In the first place, I just wanted to react to the question from the
Yes, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I think the issue of blaming opposition parties, no other action here for the ones that are very discussed. I seem to disagree with that understanding. Yeah, I don't think these so-called DPS powers in many ways tolerated by those so-called others that are in the power now. I think it is very, very important that we leave the operationalization and management of administration in the council. But I think silently what is happening is that this so-called cadre are the ones that are causing this havoc. I don't think PS can have the master to do that in the current system. And the advantage that it has really been for us to coexist. This so-called cadre from different our country can be different from stay home. And we're saying to coexist. Let us lead in the duties of manipulation benefit from our public methods, it will be bus station, markets, whatever, to council, so that they can also provide us the much needed services. We are always crying about the very wasty management in the system. I don't know whether you presenters are busy along this so-called freedom way down here, pretty much out. You are wondering whether you are installing or you are like that. I mean,
thank you so much, sir, for your contribution there. I think we have gotten clearly the message loud and clear.
Yes, the message is loud and clear.
You know, just looking at his comment, his line of thought, and our previous caller, they are calling on Mr. Obvious Moliteta, who is the Lusaka province chairman for the UPND, not to always put the blame on the former ruling party. I think one point he raised a very good point. Do you think, Patrick Soko, you being a journalist, when you analyze, do you think if we're going to say these are PF cadres who are still in the market, at the moment, do you think they can be tolerated by the current administration?
That's a tricky question.
Yeah.
I mean, but
that's a very good point to raise.
For you to have, I know that this administration has made it clear that you should wear your political regard, regardless of what, you should be free to do, to belong to any political party. But at the moment, the power or any authority to do such things lies within the UPND. And like the others have suggested, you know, if it is wrong, it is just they have to just get rid of it. You understand? And before it worsens. So, regardless of the situation, we need to see operations being conducted to combat this emerging vice.
It doesn't matter, regardless. We don't really care where you belong, but cadreism is not needed in the market.
Yes. You know, okay, let's pick this call.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, madam.
You are through to the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Who are we talking to this morning?
You are talking to Grieve Panama from Kitwe.
It's good to know that Kitwe is watching us this morning. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. My contribution is on the cadreism. I just want to put things straight here. I think people are missing the main point. The issue is, immediately in 2021 August, immediately it was announced that the UPND has won.
Yes.
All those thugs who were found at the bus stations, they had changed their attire turning to PF. Okay? So the same guys who were misbehaving at the stations in the name of PF, they turned to UPND at that moment. They will come them as UPND. They are the ones who are misbehaving now at the bus station. So there's nothing like PF was sent people. They are the same guys. If you go in the bus stations, they are known guys, and they are still there. They are the same guys who are in PF, and they are in UPND now misbehaving. So the thing is to flush them out in UPND so that they go back to UPND. I mean, to PF, that is the issue there. You get my point?
Exactly.
Yeah, because they are known guys. It's not like they came from elsewhere. They are the same guys who were there before. The UPND came to power. So the best way is just to flush them out because they are a bad seed. You get my point?
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That's another interesting perspective there on the subject we are looking at this morning, Miriam Kaimba there. And it is true, they just changed from UNIP to MMD to PF to UPND. They keep the cycle. So
But one thing that someone would argue, or a point that will be raised is, if we do not curtail this right now, the system will be just like that. It will be continuous.
Yes, but he mentioned another interesting part that we should do. Flush them out instantly.
But how do you flush them out? That's the other question. We have seen that the current administration has claimed on several occasions that they have flushed them out. But we have still continue receiving reports.
Again, those people, me are the ones who are even teaching others to say, I remember President Hichilema was categorical, said they are teaching, they are recruiting others.
They're recruiting
to say,
it's possible,
this is how we used to get money.
Yes.
So if you want us to make money, you just do this. If you understand, So those tendencies, but they're still eminent. So how do we sustainably do that? I think for me, the sanity also lies in us also making sure that we do the right thing pertaining to how we are managing these facilities. If we manage them with sanity, I don't think we'd see those illegal activities are taking prominence. So another view there coming from Kitwe, that is interesting, and we want to hear it from you also, whichever part of the country you are calling us from. On the Camnet Breakfast Show, this is where we continue to exchange knowledge and ideas on this platform because at the end of the day, we have a country to collectively build as a people. So we have to continuously share ideas. Authorities and those people in offices, they do get whatever you recommend, and whatever you suggest, they do pick one or two things there. So it is important that you share with us your views. Another interesting story is that the story we had from the court. What does this suggest?
Well, another interesting story that we had yesterday from the court, we did see the court, a state witness leading the court to Silverest area to go and have a glimpse of the properties for a Lusaka businessman, Francis Muchema, who is also known as Commander 2, is accused by the Anti-Corruption Commission of being in possession of property deemed of proceeds of crime worth 12 million kwacha. So one interesting fact we saw the arresting officer who is currently on the stand leading the court to view the properties. But before that, in the previous court session, we did see her, laying down how she came about to know about this case, how she received a complaint from people that Mr. Muchema was allegedly in possession of property deemed to be proceeds of crime. And again, another interesting fact that the witness mentioned during her testimony in chief when she was giving a testimony before court was that during a course of investigation, she did discover that Mr. Muchema, back then in the previous administration, which is the Patriotic Front, where he is allegedly said to be a member, was collecting revenue at intercity bus terminus.
He was a tax collector.
Well, those are some of the testimony that we heard from the court.
But I'm asking you, we're just explaining.
Well,
you just have to say yes or no.
Those are allegations anyway. They haven't yet been proven by the court because the matter is still at court. And those are just testimony that came from the witness who allegedly said that Mr. Muchema, at the time when the PF was in office, was collecting, because he is allegedly said to have been, managing intercity bus terminus. He was one of the big, what would I say, leaders from the opposition Patriotic Front. They are managing.
What rank did he have there? Commander what?
Commander, according to him, is Commander 2. So anyway, I don't know what Commander 2 is. Is it from the army or something?
Let's listen to that story.
Anyway, let's have a look at that story. A state witness, Claudia Chibiliti, who is also an Anti-Corruption Commission investigative officer, Monday, the 10th of July 2023, led the Lusaka Magistrate Court in Silverest area to have a glimpse of 3 properties said to have allegedly been corruptly gained by a Lusaka businessman, Francis Muchema, popularly known as Commander 2. This is in a continued trial in a case in which Mr. Muchema is jointly charged with 2 others with 15 counts relating to money laundering, among others. The accused is also charged with possession of property worth over 12 million kwacha, suspected of being proceeds of crime. During the scene visit this morning, the Lusaka Magistrate Court learned that all the 3 properties have been identified, among them a 4-bedroom house, attitude apartment, and an unfinished building have been seized and currently in control and custody of the Anti-Corruption Commission. According to the witness, the properties in question are allegedly deemed to have been corruptly acquired. The state accuses Mr. Mchema of allegedly possessing property number L/26392/M, a dwelling house valued at 2.5 million kwacha, located in Silverest area, Chongwe, and another property number L/26395M, apartments valued at 4.5 million kwacha in Silverest, Chongwe. Allegations in the fourth count alleges that Mr. Mchema jointly and while acting together with Attitude Properties Limited between January 1st, 2015 and August 31st, 2022 did possess a truck registration number BAR 9059ZM. The matter continues on the 17th of July 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Okay, there you have it. That's another story there from the courts pertaining to the history that was happening under the Patriotic Front administration. And this case is still active. But bring us up to speed with the experience you had when you accompanied the courts and the state to just check on the sites there.
Well, like you said, investigation, the matter is still under trial, so there's basically not much to say, but the court is still, receiving evidence from this witness. The witness is still giving the court evidence of some of the things the Anti-Corruption Commission allegedly seized from the accused persons at the moment. So, like I said before we went direct into playing that story, that the investigations officer in this matter, who is from the Anti-Corruption Commission, in an investigation, she did mention to the court that at the time, during the course of her investigation, she suspected that Mr. Mchema, who is accused of various offenses, among them being in possession of property suspected of being proceeds of crime, was allegedly involved in the illegal collection of revenue at the intercity bus terminus.
Yeah, so that's a story there that among the headlines we were zooming. An interesting story indeed there. You too, our dear viewers, can now give us your views and comments on some of the stories we are looking at zooming the headlines here on Camnet TV this morning. Our major story is a story which we are looking at pertaining to where Lusaka Province Youth Chairman Mr. Obvious Mwariteta has been on record saying that the PF is sending its cadres to markets and bus stations to disrupt operations of these facilities and paint the UPND administration bad. Let's pick this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, and how are you?
I'm fine. This is Mr. Daka calling.
Mr. Daka, you can go ahead and give us your contribution on the program.
Yes, I just wanted to start with Mutema, the issue of Mutema. I personally feel that though it is in the courts of law, we cannot contribute much.
Yes.
But to be honest with you, corrupt people have to be brought to book. Because that's someone who was money in the city to build those houses. There's a lot that has to be looked at. We are saddened because that was the taxpayer money. So that one I will not comment much. But let me comment over Munia Zulu. Yes, and the issue of cadres.
Yes.
Munia Zulu, somehow, I'm personally disappointed because this is a lawmaker. And for him to abscond court sessions, even when the bench warrant was issued to him, the other friends, Chui member of parliament, presented himself. And he is now still working free. But he decided to abscond the police, which is very bad. You know that there's a bench warrant, but you want to do a seek and hide game with the police and the law enforcement agencies. That is bad. That is not good politics. We need the opposition, a strong opposition, but such kind of politicking is not good. Let me comment You know, the members, I got a member friend who was a journalist in some of the media houses who says that a media house is not all because you media houses keep records. Keep records, and Monitor was on record demanding that the UPND should have offices in markets. But for him today to start saying that he is CPF, that is very wrong. I remember also that one of your reporters, I think it should be Zipporah, who went to intercede. She was almost beaten by cadres, UPND cadres. Now today to start putting the blame on PF is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Let's not run away from the issue. The issue of cadres has resurfaced. So we need to handle it from that point. UPND is running away from owning up the emerging problem of cadres. Let them own up this problem. Let them tame their cadres. If they change into from PF to UPND, they are now UPND cadres, so they need to handle them. And if you remember, Patrick,
exactly.
When we started in 2021, immediately when UPND came into power, these markets, it has to take the president to warn the cadres for UPND to allow the other cadres. You remember that the cadres for PF were being chased.
Yes.
Their buses were they were not allowed to enter like intercity, Lumumba, and all those areas.
Yes.
It has to take the president to warn these UPND cadres to allow these other parties also to be operating. So let's not run away from the problem. Personally, from the word go, when they said no, cadres should not be in the markets, cadres should be not, I was questioning myself that these cadres are the ones that fought for UPND to be in power, and they are fighting. Their intention was that also they should enjoy. They should also live a decent life. Now, after they got into power, when we were being told that they are not supposed to be in markets, I was wondering how is UPND going to keep these people, their members who fought very hard for the party to be in power. Those are the things that we should look at it. To be honest with you, this gatherism, we are still having it, and it's something that we need to find other ways in keeping these cadres so that they should not be in those markets. Otherwise, we will just be talking about it, and the cadres will be in those places. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your
Mr.
contribution.
Daka.
Oh, quite exhausting.
Yeah, Mr. Daka
Yes.
did bring out various perspectives and analysis to this
I like one part,
discourse.
I like the last point that he has brought out,
which is,
we should find a way of ensuring that we bring out cadreism, we remove cadreism from the markets.
Yeah. And I like the historical context he has, and I think Mr. Daka has followed Camnet's proceedings through and through, and that brings me to the historical perspective that I can read out to you. I remember that here on Camnet TV, remember that first of all, Camnet TV, Miriam Kaimba, we cover everyone. We cover those who are from the ruling party, we cover those who are from the opposition, we cover every Zambian. For us, news is news. It doesn't matter what political party you belong to. For us, news is news.
Our
so now,
duty is to give
talking
you a
about that same news is news, we were visited by a lot of bus drivers from the Lima Tower, Konima Tower bus stations who used to come at our premises to come and share with us as Camnet TV to say, we have been chased. Others, there's also an active case. There was a case in court. I think you are aware of that, where other drivers had taken others to court from Kulima Tower, should be. Yeah, so prior to that, we also saw that, for example, the flash buses had also cases pertaining to cadarism when they wanted to be taking their buses to Yellow Shop there. We had confusion. One of our correspondents, Ebert, he was attacked in the fracas of while fighting for this station at Kamala South, because while flash buses wanted to start operating there, others said no, you won't be operating here. You understand? So the difference that flash buses, most of the people, why do they prefer them? They have discipline. So there was that confusion. So it was the issue of cadres there, and they were being prevented, but that was also resolved. We also had various cases pertaining to at the stations themselves, where these camps say this is how we are being treated. We have just gone back to the issues like the PF used to do it. Then we used to get in touch with various UPND leaders. UPND leaders who have been on hand to give us information, who include among them UPND National Youth Deputy Chairman, Mobilization and Politics, Trevor Mwinde. We spoke to him, he would take us to the facility, we interview the drivers, those who are aggrieved and those who are not aggrieved during that time. We also had Lusaka Province, UPND National Youth Spokesperson, Deputy Youth Spokesperson, Phineas Pumulo also would take us to the stations to assess the situation, and we get the views from those who were claiming that they were being chased for belonging to the PF, or and those who are saying they are running the station on through that they are from the UPND. We used to go and get those stories. And then, like Mr. Daka said, we have a historical context of this, because all that Miriam Kayemba is documented. And it is no wonder I always advise people to always go to our lunchtime cafe. In the lunchtime cafe, Miriam, we have an interesting segment, which is the Forgotten Stories segment. Yeah. During this time of the day, like when we're looking at stories pertaining to 2020 and 2021, you discover that it was tense. And the stories we're bringing out in the Forgotten Stories segment will tell you, when we are right, highlight where we are coming from, what used to happen in the country. To remind us, it also reminds us as journalists to say some of these stories need to be done and still need follow-up. For example, there's an interesting story that we had as of yesterday. We were talking about the issue of debt swaps. Remember that yes, we haven't been able to follow up and see where are we on debt swap. So this forgotten stories session, Miriam, I think for me that was a game changer.
Just for the sake of our viewers there who are hearing about the lunchtime cafe for the first time, maybe just give them the details of what time it starts and what we look at exactly.
Yes, so the lunchtime cafe is anchored by Makokwa Kozi. Usually sometimes I do assist him, and we have other in-house presenters who complement. But the program is anchored on major 3 themes. It hinges on, for instance, the emerging stories, where people get to know stories Miriam Kayemba is covering from the courts, and know what they should expect in the news. So the emerging stories segment, Miriam, where we update the people of some of the stories they should expect of the day. Some of the stories, we don't want to wait until 1930 for you to know. You should have an idea. But what we do is that in our 1930 main news, that we repackage this information. We make sure that we get the sources that are supposed to be part of the story are added, and make sure that when we are giving you that story, it is complete. That's what we do. But in the emerging story session, we give you an idea. So this is what is happening on this day. So we get to update you where President Ichilema is, what he's doing, for example, if he has an activity, the ministers, the government ministries, the non-government organizations, some of the activities they are taking, the press conferences happening of the day. We get it on the emerging story segment, Miriam. Then we have the next theme, which is the Forgotten Stories segment. Now, the Forgotten Stories, this is where now we focus on those stories, Miriam, that happened on this day in 2020 and 2021. We remind our viewers where we are coming from, and that some of the stories that were making the headlines, and then they'll be able to give us their perspective and their comment. And we have the interview of the day, and also we have Nutrition Corner, and we also have the viewers' reaction where people get to react, and we have the interview of the day. Most of the times, where we get to interview some people pertaining to what may be happening, or what are some of the major activities of the day. So this lunchtime cafe, Mia Kaimba, is a very informative program, and that I'd also recommend our viewers to be watching, just like they watch the Camnet Breakfast Show, because on the Camnet Breakfast Show we do have quite a number of viewers that get to give us their views and perspectives, exactly. And we still want these people to join us also in the after lunchtime cafe, so that we continue together to build. Because remember, Camnet TV is also a community TV stations, and issues that we discuss have to revolve around the people. So for us, the priority is given to the viewers, so that the viewers should be able to drive the agenda at the end of the day. What we can only do is analyze as journalists and be able to give perspectives from what is there, and what is the traditional practice, or what is the recommended practice. Then the people themselves start making their own opinions and views on these issues.
Interesting. You know, I'm going to put you on spot right now and try to interview you, and maybe just to highlight some of the activities. You know, there's in August, we're going toward August, and then we have this beautiful show. What are some of the activities that Camnet will be engaging in?
Interesting. So we could not make it for the trade fair as Camnet TV, but for the agriculture and commercial show, we'll be there. We'll make sure that our presence is felt, but we cannot do that without us engaging our clients. Exactly. So that's why we are making sure that those who have businesses get in touch with us and our marketing department, so that they can get interacting on the business aspect. Because at the showground, we're not just coming there for jokes. We're coming for serious business, and we're making sure that we provide three things in line with our mandate as a media house, which is to inform, educate, and entertain. And we're also making sure that you get to meet the people who are behind the Camnet TV, and you get interacting. You also exchange a business and be able to grow together as Camnet TV. Remember, Camnet TV is the fast growing TV station in Zambia. And what we are doing is that we also want to leverage on an opportunity now on the business fraternity to be able to forge partnerships that enable us to grow alongside the viewers, businesses, or our clients. Those small-scale businesses at the showground, Miriam Kaimba. We'll be making sure that we accommodate them, in that we make sure that we also come up with flexible rates that are able to accommodate everyone, so that with your little business, we help you grow. And
talking about, you know, lower rates to ensure that we accommodate everyone, please, those who are watching us, and in case you want to, you know, show visibility of your product, you can take advantage of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show and advertise with us. We do have good rates.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, in the Breakfast Show, yes, we have good rates, and we're looking for partnerships and sponsors of some of the segments. And if people are willing, they can partner with us, and then we get to grow together. You know, nowadays it's about leveraging on business opportunities and also forging partnerships that seek for growth on both entities, us as a station and you as an enterprise. So we have flexible rates, and make sure that you just get in touch with us, and our marketing department will be on handy to just give you everything that you need to know about Camnet TV.
Exactly. Quite interesting. Anyway, just a reminder to our viewers that we are looking at the issue of cadarism in the market. Please do call us and give us your view or perspective on what you think about cadarism in the market. What is the lasting solution in ensuring that we curtail this cadarism, which have for a long time, you know, have marketeers, bus drivers, you know, complain about these issues. And those who are watching us live on Facebook, please do drop us a message, and we'll be able to read your message. Let us get interacted.
And just to remind you of the story we are looking at, we are going to recall a story by UPND Lusaka Province Chairman, Obvious Mariteta, who's expressing concern pertaining to the emergence of political cadres in markets and bus stations. Let's listen to this story. We'll be back on the other side.
Not so long ago, cadres were in charge of everything in Zambia, as citizens and law enforcement wings were left to be spectators on illegalities that took prominence prior to the August 12, 2021 general election. Markets and bus stations were being controlled by cadres, leaving councils with little resources and surviving through the Equalization Fund. And upon taking over office, Republican President Hakainde Hichilema warned that acts of impunity will not be allowed to thrive.
Our youth leaders across the country, do not be the enemy of your own government. Do not undermine your own party. Do not become the new thugs in town.
Meanwhile, slowly but sure, acts of lawlessness have begun resurfacing as cadres take advantage of what many have described as docile councils and have started conducting illegal activities in communities and public facilities. Cowboys who solicit for money from motorists have gone back to the routine, and certainly Lusaka still has a number of illegal bus stations being run by cadres under the watch of the local authority. United Party for National Development UPND Lusaka Province Chairman Obvious Madi front of unleashing cadres to start conducting illegal activities to undermine the leadership of President Hakainde Hichilema.
From all over Lusaka, especially Yellow Shop and the other areas, that youths, they've started mounting roadblocks. And Mamaketi, Bambovuta, my youth. When we received those complaints, we had gone on the ground to investigate in Chantichitikapa ground. We came to discover that it's the desperation of PF. PF have now gone back in the streets. Batenga mayuthi bao na kubauza kuti UPND is very peaceful. No one will harass you. Endani mwende ma stations, endani ma roads, start mounting ma roadblocks, illegal roadblocks, so that bantu baone kuti UPND now is misbehaving, because they've realized that they were chased by Zambian people because of cadres. So those rotten cadres from PF.
He says anyone using the name of the party and the UPND regalia to commit crimes must be reported to the police.
I want to urge the people, the marketeers, the people affected, you bus drivers. If you see anyone mounting a roadblock, whether in UPND regalia, whichever regalia it is, please, you should affect citizen arrest. We have a clear instructions from the president, from the word go. No youth, no any other person is allowed to go in the markets, is allowed to mount a roadblock, is allowed to take any levy or to misbehave. No cadreism of thuggery. We you as UPND tira makadazi baulemu. To be makadazi waja wakabwalala. So wakabwalala wa PF manji wambobale takulive, so that when they go in the markets, they should go and buy people to complain against us. Good no, maona wa UPND manji wakangiwa. They've started bringing people. What's makadazi? Tavutika na makadazi. Those cadres in the city market, those cadres elsewhere, they are not our cadres.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Quite interesting. That is one of the stories that we had earlier played, where Lusaka Province Chairman Mr. Obvious Molitecha was accusing the former ruling party, sending their cadres to unleash motorists and traders at bus markets and bus stations and markets. Quite interesting views there, and we have seen, we have engaged with a lot of people who have given us their perspective of calling the United Party for National Development not to accuse the former ruling party and find a lasting solution in addressing the issues of cadreism in the markets. Anyway, this is where we come to the end of our breakfast show this morning. I was your host, Miriam Kaimba. In studio, I was joined by my handsome colleague, Patrick Soko. I almost said beautiful.
You are used to Zipporah.
I was used to Zipporah. I was used to Zipporah. Anyway, this is where we come to the end of our program this morning. Please do join us tomorrow as we bring you up to speed in current affairs. It's bye-bye and stay blessed.